Wait. No, shut up. You're telling me that all that we have been through, all that America and the world has been through for the last 10 years, it might all come down to one lonely, drunken night between two bros. One unexpected dalliance. One moment when emotions ran a little too high. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing, it's lonely at the top. It's lonely at the top, and I can totally understand two men, even though in their positions they should have known that Vladimir Putin and his spy mastering ways would have been searching for any evidence of compromise. Even though they, of course, knew that, these two men might have engaged in one tiny mistake. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not that, listen, I mean, we've all been there, right? We've all had Hillary Clinton as our only sexual outlet and therefore looked to our bro with the orange face for any affection we could find. Do you think as Donald Trump was putting on his bronzer that night, can you imagine the James Bond style Russian agent, crouching in an air vent looking at the screen as the video from Bill Clinton's cummerbund was being brought? It has come to this. You are watching what may be the most alarming Gribley's Folly Sunday anti-social hour ever. It's the time each and every week without fail since the birth of America. I make this video weekly on my YouTube channel to complain about humanity while answering all of its questions. And boy, does humanity have some questions today. If you are a piece of humanity with a question that only I can answer, leave it in the comments down below with the hashtag AskGribs. I will answer any question. Well, until today, I thought I could answer any question. It is 12:30 local time on November 15th here on the East Coast of the United States of America, one of the countries of all time. And who knows what's going to happen before the video airs, but this week we have been rocked by bombshell revelations from the... I want to say I don't believe it. I want to say... Okay. If you're peeking out from under your rock, here's what has happened. We got some Epstein emails in our inboxes this week. The duplicitous, spineless people that we call Democratic leaders caved to the fascist state in the government shutdown and threw Americans under the bus. But the consolation prize is that they got to vote on some Epstein file releases. People got to release. And among the reams of information, the additional reams of information tying the American president, Donald Trump, to disgraced financier and pedophile ring coordinator, Jeffrey Epstein, among this new information, how do you even, what? I can't even sum this up for people that are living under a rock. I don't, all right, okay, Trump blew Clinton. I know. It's not true, right? It's not, none of this is true. Okay, sober account of what has happened. Okay, there was an email exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and his brother, Mark. I don't know who Mark, I don't know anything about Mark. I'm sure he's a great guy though, right? Anyway, they were writing back and forth as bros do. We email back and forth. Do you know who doesn't use email? Bill Clinton. Okay, but they're emailing back and forth, right? And this is, by the way, this was in the period, this was in 2018 when Donald Trump was in the White House, long after Donald Trump said, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, that guy who used to come surf for girls in my resort in Florida. I don't even know. I never met the man. Long after that, Jeffrey and his bro are writing back and forth, just family, talking about Thanksgiving. And I remember that one time mom did that thing. No, they're writing back and forth about Jeffrey Epstein hanging out with Steve Bannon, Trump's at the time right-hand man. And, and then Mark just says, hey, why don't you ask him if, why don't you ask Steve if Vladimir Putin has any photos of Trump blowing Bill Clinton? It's obviously a joke. It's obviously not real. It's a joke. Because look, we're all bros. We joke. Remember in that time that we were joking about giving Bill Clinton a blowjob? It's obviously a joke. It's obviously a joke. But what a specific joke. I think that's the nagging feeling that Americans have today. Why would you make that joke? I mean, let's be real here. The Stormy Daniels stuff was in full swing at that point. Why not make a joke about Why make of all the people Trump could have compromising sexual relations with? Remember the Russian hoax, right? That there was a videotape of Trump having very degrading sex in a Moscow hotel room. That wasn't the joke that the Epstein brothers made. That wasn't it. Now, nobody is perfect, presidents especially. We know that they're not perfect. They're complicated men, these leaders, these profiles. And the profile has, okay, all right, we won't talk about the profile, but these men are they're complex creatures. And when you get to that position, it's a nuanced thing. And at the same time, do you think like Dulles or Hoover or any other, do you think they were joking with their immediate family about like, I don't know, like Eisenhower blowing Roosevelt? Damn, that Warren G. Harding guy, man, that's a funny thing that might have happened between him and Taft or Coolidge. True or not, the fact is that this morning in America, we are legitimately having this conversation. Public trust has been eroded to the point where we don't dismiss this out of hand. And in fact, there's a lot about it that would make a lot of sense. We forget. Our memory is so short. Actually, mine's not. I know a lot of people that don't have short memories. I just think there's a lot of people that are willfully ignorant about the fact that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton were like best buds, that Trump and Hillary hung out together on yachts and in penthouses, that they were friendly. Right up until the point where Trump decided he wanted to run for president. Right up until that point. That's where the friendliness cooled. We forget that in 2019, shortly after Jeffrey Epstein killed himself in federal custody, that we forget it was revealed that among his many, many possessions was an oil painting of former President Bill Clinton wearing a blue dress. A woman's dress. Not a man's dress, a woman's dress with heels. So I think Americans are well within reasonable limits to say, what the fuck was going on with these people? This is the grossest Seinfeld episode ever. How do these social how did this happen? And we're talking about this part in particular because this is the funny part, right? It's easy to laugh about this. You know what's funny? Things that are half true. But some of the other stuff that was revealed about the president, it's not funny. My city may be the next on the ICE target list. That's the news we're hearing here this morning. And I'm not laughing. Families are going to be torn apart because this pedophile piece of shit needs a big distraction. That's also why we might strike Venezuela now. How does one go forward? How does a man hold his head up in times like these? Also in the news this week, we might have final DNA confirmation that Hitler only had one ball. Completely unrelated to anything else. Let's get to your comments, shall we? Oh, no, we have to do the housekeeping. Hang on. Today I am smoking Beck's Old Limey Bastard, the finest English tobacco, in my Savinelli, the Friday Savinelli, gifted to me by an old friend. It's a Savinelli 673 KS Roma Lucite in honor of Matches 860. And the friend that gifted it to me, I know we have our differences about politics, but I know the news this week has been really something. I have to say that Al Molitor and Les Brady exchanging comments about commas in my comment section, that warms my heart, fellas. That's good stuff. CB Potts, cookbook collector, says, dude, you really just asked me if I couldn't Google a recipe? How'd Googling work for you during Halloween? Okay, I understand that if the grid is down, you need cookbooks. I get that. But you're talking about like a library of cookbooks which is a fine and legitimate passion to have, as we discussed last time. I made English muffins during Helene. Why? Because I could. I had a recipe in a cookbook. I get it. But also, hang on. I have a lot of cookbooks because I love to cook and learn new things while I'm doing it. I have books from chefs I respect and regions that have food I enjoy, focused on cooking skills I want to improve. Thanks for asking. Okay, if the grid is down, are you really pulling from like specific chefs' repertoires of food? Is that how that works? Like there's a pile of bodies on your lawn and your AR-15 is like steam is rising from the barrel as the poison rain falls, and you're like, oh, Anthony Bourdain's cookbook about muffins. I've just gotten a message that says that my time is short, so we'll have to speed. Is it time short for all of us? Lives Outdoors C2V says, OMG, you know Dixie, she is fantastic. She is fantastic, isn't she? She is great. Do I know Dixie? Yes. Did we go to kindergarten together? No. I don't want to like claim, I didn't mean to name drop. But yeah, I know Dixie. I met Dixie at an event in 21 that she did, and I made a photograph of her at that event, and then we hung out for a while afterwards, and I'm a patron of hers, and so we exchange messages on occasion, and she is such a delightful person that I probably feel like I'm probably overstating our friendship because she makes everyone seem like they are her best friend. But she is amazing, and everyone should go watch her channel, even if you're not into her channel is Homemade Wanderlust. If you're not into hiking, if you're into just watching someone achieve things, watching someone that did not set out to be a Triple Crown through hiking influencer, watching someone do that, it's an amazing process. It's an amazing thing to watch, and it got me through a hard time in my life. Rafa asks Gribbs, best rock cover. If I had more time, I would think harder about this, but the thing that immediately comes, okay, it's got to be a Bob Dylan song, right? Because Bob Dylan is like, he's like the Minecraft seed of rock and roll. Like, he made a bunch of songs that are amazing songs, but very poorly executed by Bob Dylan, and so then everybody else covers them, and maybe it's just the mood I'm in, but the Rage Against the Machine cover of Maggie's Farm, it's unbelievable. I got a lot of interesting comments about the covers that I floated doing about Helene, and I don't want to be like, I don't want this channel to be like some guy can't get over Helene, you know, like the subhead on the channel, Gribbs still haunted by Helene. But you know, I thought after those comments, you know, it might be kind of fun to do those covers, maybe for the next anniversary. But covering things on YouTube is really kind of like it's like a sketchy gray area thing. Cascadian Piper asked Gribbs, how soon until we see a Woody Guthrie inspired workers organization album? Not being sarcastic, that would be awesome. You want to know? I'm going to reveal some things here. We're going to be very. I'm not going to. Don't ask follow-up questions. I was once involved in a legitimate workers conflict with a court, like lawsuits and federal court and all that. And I still don't understand unions. I work for unions. I shoot photos for national unions sometimes. And I really don't understand how it works, especially in the South, because we have unions have been bred out of us. So when you say workers' organization, I automatically think communism. These are the biases that you try to get rid of as your life goes on, as you realize, wait a minute, I mean, someone was talking to me about like, I would really like to get out of here to a socialist country, and I was like, you mean Cuba? I went to college. I'm well read. I've read reams of history books. I know better, but these internal biases, I'm like, workers, screw them. I'm not sure if there is no war but class war. I hear that a lot. I don't really know how that works. I think that if you choose a lens through which you decide to see the entire world, then everything is going to focus through that lens. You know, for example, if you have a new piece of information that has just come to light and you start to look back at history through that lens, and you think, man, Bill Clinton and Boris Yeltsin, they were really good friends, and they were both notorious drunks, and they had that like red alcoholic bulbous nose thing going on at the same time. And I bet there's a lot of information that the Russian security apparatus could have gotten through. Anyway, Cascadian Piper says, what? Northwoods, you said that was root beer. Why does anyone trust me about anything? What have I done to appear trustworthy? Yes, I may have said that. Mistakes may have been made. Do you guys remember that time I made a whole video impersonating Bill Clinton? That was good stuff. Cascadian Piper's question asks Gribbs, okay, so now I have a dilemma. Aromatics have begun tasting like butter spread over too much toast. Wonderful, wonderful, thank you. So I need you to talk about some aromatics that you find worthwhile. None. That's not entirely true. Carter Hall is an excellent tobacco for what it is. It serves its purpose excellently. And the purpose is that you could smoke it without thinking about it, and it keeps the bugs off you when you're fishing. Technically, the tobacco that I mentioned last time, Frogmorton's Cellar, rest in peace. We're going to get to the next comment. Technically, Frogmorton's Cellar is also an aromatic. But getting to the next comment, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Alexander Size says, should anyone tell him that the HH blends, Old Dark Fired, Pure Virginia, are also discontinued? No. No one should have told me that. I was happy under my rock. I have so much Old Dark Fired stored in a box under my desk that I would never know otherwise. Back to aromatics. The thing is, they're cheap, right? So you can get on, I would go to Pipes and Cigars probably, and buy 2 ounces of like 10 different aromatics. They're all going to be burley soaked in, soda syrup. So it depends on your flavor of soda syrup. One day we should just do a full video on, see, this would require me getting up to speed on tobacco, pipe tobacco culture. I would have to do research to do this video, even though this is a pipe channel, whatever. But I think that, back in the day when I was deciding I'm gonna learn all these flavors of tobacco, the world was different. You could get $2 per ounce bulk blends that were really good. Cornell and Diehl has a lot of good bulk blends, but they wouldn't be the ones I would go to for aromatics. I think that Sutliff is the aromatic brand, and that what I think of is Sutliff still around. You get into tobacco is like Lane 1Q, which is it's not even the Budweiser of tobacco. I'm going to offend so many people, aren't I? You've made it this far into the video where we're talking about presidents filleting each other, but you're going to get offended about the Lane 1. I know how this is going to go, so I'm going to stop here. Kinjiro5775 says, glad you are doing well, enjoying listening to your musings. This isn't your fault, but musings is a word that I have a hard time with that. Ask Gribbs, should Rush have retired after the death of Mr. Pert, or is a new version with a very capable drummer still Rush? I don't know a lot about Rush. Les Brady is an aficionado. I have never been the biggest fan. I like Rush, but it's too proggy for me. There's too many drums. I mean, you've seen my music videos. I had a guy playing a bucket right here. So I think my very uneducated opinion here is they should have called it quits. There's no one that can replace that. When part of the spectacle is you have more drums on stage than there are in the brake departments of every car dealership in 500 miles, I think that so much of what's important was lost. On the other hand, compare what AC/DC did replacing Bon Scott. Or compare what the E Street Band did, replacing Clarence Clemons. I think that it's possible to, I don't know anything about the Rush fandom, but maybe when you make those decisions, you're considering a lot of things, not least your bottom line, but that you need to carry some things on. So I don't know. Unfortunately, I am being called away. So we will have to continue these discussions at another time. Thank you for watching this video. At the very least, if I am not trustworthy, you can trust that I'm at least small time enough that Vladimir Putin does not have any compromising material on me. Not that it's not there, it's just why would he take an interest? I want to thank you all for joining me here in the garage. It really touches my heart. This has been the Sunday Antisocial, where we stay at least one step more morally superior than the people that we make fun of. Thank you for watching. Keep the ends out for the ties that bind.